we have more fear in the banking industry. Is Deutsche Bank going to be the next to go? I don't think so. The market doesn't really seem too sure. The market's also struggling for direction as far as where it wants to go at this point. We're going to get into all of that and more on today's show. Before we get going, please hit that like button, subscribe to the Outsider Trading YouTube channel. This is Money Never Sleeps. I am JWeb. That is Kevin. Nothing we say on this show is financial advice. We are a couple of guys who love following the markets, big nerds when it comes to that. And so please do your own research when it comes to any buying and selling decisions. Kevin, we have some more fear around Deutsche Bank. From what I've read up on it, it seems like it's very irrational at this point. You know, they're doing they're making some moves lately. Deutsche Bank has that would indicate that they are in a very strong position, but the market is still selling it off like crazy. So I'm not really too sure what to make of that. Crypto market is down a bit today, and kind of like what we expected. We're at this point where we're just kind of ping-ponging back and forth, staying within this range. You had something on the ETH front that we'll get to when it comes to technical analysis, something about like a megaphone pattern. That sounds terrifying. But that's
Yeah.
kind of the state of the market right now. How are you doing today? What are you looking at? And God willing, my internet is going to survive so we can make it through this show.
Absolutely. Yeah, main thing I'm looking at this week or today going into this weekend is the weekly close, mainly for traditional markets like the stock markets. I've been really interested in seeing how the price action's been since the FOMC rate hike. And obviously, it seems like they're selling off these rallies. They did it yesterday. We were rallying pretty good. And at the end of the day, they just killed it on the close. I was interested to see how it opened up today. It was down, I think, 300 in the futures for the Dow and a couple of other, the NASDAQ and S&P were down pretty good. But right now, almost everything's in the green. NASDAQ's lagging back by 5 points or so. So it's really interesting to see how it closes. Again, you brought up, high volatility. That's what I'm seeing here in traditional markets as well as in crypto markets. It feels like there is a pattern, that there is like resistance at some level. So it's really interesting to think of whether or not we're at this point in the market where maybe big institutional players that were the last ones in and a lot of this bank fear, they're starting to just, drop some of the money out to retail, and retail is buying it in, thinking that, the bull market's not too far away. It'll be interesting, but yeah, I'm really excited to see how this closes out today.
Me too. There is this like tug of war going on between the Bulls and the Bears. I'm not sure who's going to win this one. I think the next piece of, if we get some, the Bulls, they need positive inflation data next week. The Bears, they need either negative inflation data or some other catastrophe. And so I think the Bears definitely have the advantage from that point. It feels like the Bulls don't really have a whole lot of ways of winning this battle right now. They just need it all comes down to data. Whereas, I look at it from a poker standpoint, who has more outs to win the pot? And right now it definitely feels like the Bears have the advantage.
Yeah, I mean, again, we're in a bear market. So I think that's safe to say that the Bears do have the advantage. Maybe in the short term, there could be a little bit of a bullish price action. I don't necessarily think it's sustained, or it will be sustained, because when we look at the charts, I want to take a look at the Dow. But I remember when the Dow was at like 34. And obviously, if you look at the S&P, like 4,000 has been a huge level. I think it's like a psychological level, but anytime it gets above it, we just end up the next day or so right around 39. So there is a point where we're seeing these bulls and bears come in, but I feel like there's a lot more room to the downside than there is to the upside. That's not financial advice, obviously, but if the price is going to go on one way, and with the amount of liquidity and fear that there is in the market, I think those bears are going to probably be winning all day, just in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen, Bitcoin hold up very well this week. Ethereum to a lesser extent. The altcoins are all still kind of, not performing quite as well. Bitcoin is still dominating everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, we'll get more inflation data next week. The PCE comes out next Friday, the 31st. So that'll give a better picture, and that'll also kind of move the needle as far as what the Fed is going to do. Right now, that's everything. Like, are they going to? And we got about 40 days to go until the next Fed meeting. So there's all sorts of stuff that can happen. Right now, the odds-on favorite is, if we're looking at the probability model, it's about 87.5% that they are not going to hike next meeting. But like we saw last time, that could change very quickly based purely on any inflation data that comes in.
Man, I don't know what what people are thinking or what people are smoking, thinking that they're not going to raise rates again. Maybe they don't, but I don't see it being, I don't see that being the case. That's just my opinion, especially if these bank fears continue. Let's put it this way: a lot of people are, the Fed, Jay Powell came out and said that, people shouldn't be worrying about their deposits. Their deposits are safe. However, the United States government also is, taking action to see if there's a way they can ensure that all depositors will be backed if other banks collapse. Big question is if. You
Yeah.
would only be worrying about that if there's a fucking problem, and I think there is in the banking system. Obviously, there's a lot of banks that did the same thing that SIVB did, and that's buying treasuries, bonds at historically low interest rates, and then they're being, people need liquidity, and guess what? They have to sell those, swap those at a loss, and then that just causes a bank run. And again, who's exposed to who? We saw this with FTX. Banking industry is probably a little bit more integrated with a lot of other smaller, regional banks too. I wouldn't be surprised if this plays out over the summer and we just see, massive red candles. Will that bring inflation down? Will this help the Fed? I don't know. I think it's just a symptom of what they're doing with these rate hikes. Inflation, PCE data. I think we did spike the last CPI data. We probably won't find out until the revision. That's just my opinion. I think that we will see a revision on that, and it'll probably come back hotter than expected. But yeah, we saw the PCE spike last time, and I don't know. I just don't see a world in which they don't raise it at least 25 basis points. I think that would be a safe guess right now, not zero.
My current game plan, I'm going to take all my money out of the bank. I'm going to buy gold with it. I'm going to drive out into the woods with a GPS tracker. I'm going to bury my gold somewhere far, far away, and then that way I can come back to it in the future. I think that is the best play right now because you can't really trust any of the banks, Kevin. So,
No.
That's where we're at. I'm going to go get a shovel, some GPS trackers, and I will see you next week. Okay.
Sounds good. I'm cool with that.
All right. I mean, I think there are worse things you could do right now, like keeping it in a regional bank that is exposed to all sorts of this, bad juju from the commercial real estate market. Like that just seems like if your bank is down bad and involved in commercial real estate right now, I think you got to be concerned. Like that has been, people have been starting to beat that drum, and it's getting louder and louder. Maybe there's something there. I don't know. I'm not a banking expert, but I would have contingencies. I would have your money spread around. I would not keep everything all in one place. And if you're holding crypto, continue to self custody that shit right there, because it is that's the way to play it at this point. You can't trust the centralized exchanges.
100%. The worst thing you could probably do, again, not financial advice, is buy a local top and then just keep it on the exchange as it drops all the way to the bottom. Especially if it's on something like Coinbase, like you said. If they go insolvent or so, obviously they're going to take your money and pay back everyone except you. So definitely something to keep an eye on. But yeah, I completely agree. Maybe your mattress. I think the mattress is actually, that could be, for the first time since like 1890s, the safest place you can keep your money.
Yeah, get a safe, get a fireproof safe in your house, for the love of God. That might be the best approach to take. Because like you can't keep it in a safe deposit box, and guess what? That's in a bank, and you can't trust that. They're like, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, it's not ideal. I think we can go ahead and get to the charts now. I know that we want to dive in, look at everything ahead of the weekly close that is coming up within the next 51 minutes as far as the TradFi markets go.
Absolutely. I'm going to look at the DXY first just because that's always important. Obviously, when we are doing trading and swaps, we always need to look at the dollar. It's the world's reserve currency. And right now, we are seeing a little bit of green on the daily for the DXY. So again, we were talking about that 102.038 being historic support. On the daily, we bounced off of it. And if we look at the daily, we're also oversold. We're undervalued for the DXY. So there's probably going to be a little bit of push to the upside. Today is the weekly close for the dollar. And with the amount of red that we saw in the past 2 weeks, look at this, that nasty candle. But that's a great wake up. That just shows you that this is really good support, especially with the close in. What's the close in? 3 hours and 49 minutes. That's pretty good for me. I think that the stochastic RSI is going to make a really good move to the downside. So we might be seeing another retest of this over the next week or so. Again, I don't think the dollar is going to go crazy unless it's off some type of news. Like, I don't know if bank collapse is good for the DXY, but definitely something like hot PCE data that could help push the price up of the dollar. People are just like, okay, rate hikes are probably going to go. We're going to stop pricing in 0, and we're probably going to go to 25. So let me just move everything out and then start building cash positions. That could be one of the arguments if we do see something like that come with PCE. But as we're seeing, it bounced off this. That's support. We bounced off here, and that's a huge wick. I mean, that's more bullish than it is bearish, despite how red that is. And then if we look at the monthly, obviously we are undervalued. Like, this has tons of room to the upside. So again, obviously summer is coming. We're going into Q2. This could potentially be a slower period of time, or this could be worse. We saw that in 2008 when traditional markets were going into the summer. We saw a little bit of a rally into the summer, and then right around July, August, that was the local top, and then we saw extreme downward pressure. And I'm not timing the markets right now, but it does seem like if you have a few months ahead of you and we're going to stay oversold for a period of time, maybe by the time it starts to move to the upside, that's, I don't know, Q3 going into Q4. So it's just something to take a good look at. Again, it's all about perspective when it comes to this game. The dollar, I still think, is extremely bullish. And just so you know, on the monthly, way above the 50 moving average and the 200 moving average. Those are all the way down here. We're already undervalued. I don't think we're going to retest those. I think we're still in a bull run for the dollar, and we're probably going to go up to this level right here, 114.8. I think that's going to be a double top. Maybe that's the end of the bear market. Who knows? We'll just have to keep an eye on that. But the dollar, as of right now, probably going to pump over the next few days. But then over the next 2 weeks, we're probably going to see either sideways price action just until we get some of that stochastic RSI on the weekly to reset and prime us for the next move to the upside.
Can we go ahead and look at the S&P next? Because we've seen that consistent resistance at 4,000 for quite a while now. It has tested that and failed that test time and time again. So I'm curious, what the chart is looking like there.
Absolutely. So when I'm looking at this right now, this is the weekly. This is a pattern that I've been seeing trading in this. This is a bear flag, 100%. You're making higher highs and higher lows, and obviously you're coming up in this channel. I just saw right now, JWeb. I have not looked at the S&P until just right now, but that's the 50 moving average right here on the weekly, and that's the 200. Mm-hmm. They're getting fairly close to each other, aren't they? And we're seeing resistance at 4,000. So what does that tell you? That tells you that there is a death cross most likely going to be on the way for the S&P. That's really interesting. Obviously, we might retest the higher levels of this channel. This might be a huge bull trap if we go to this upper channel. I don't know if we'll have the strength to. Maybe on the weekly, we look like we're pretty oversold. But again, the S&P at this 4,000 level, I think it might be just a psychological level. I think people really do understand. People who are in the S&P, obviously institutions who are trading these indices, I think they know that the market has limited upside potential right now. It's just a matter of liquidity. Obviously, we're seeing the issues with banking. We're having the Fed continuing to raise rates. Or they just did. Maybe they won't. And the next one, who knows? They probably will. But when I look at this, and we're seeing 4,000, I think they're playing the game of retail, thinks that, okay, anything above 4,000 is bullish because that means it can go to 5,000, it can go to 6,000. Again, I don't think that's the case at all. That doesn't make any sense to me. However, we're seeing that right around the 4,000, 4,100 level, we keep hitting this top and we get rejected, come down, went above it a little bit here, got rejected. And right here, we got rejected the other day or this week. So we're at the bottom of the stochastic RSI, but we also got rejected at the 4,000 level. I think we might see, if nothing crazy happens in the next few weeks, maybe a retest of this at some point, maybe, I don't know, maybe May, June. But again, not timing the market. I just think that we have to test that top channel one more time before we see some massive price dump, because that would just be tons of liquidity that would be building lower. And that's what I'm seeing with the S&P. Again, this death cross actually just got me super excited. I didn't see that for the S&P, and that's really close. All you need is one dump. Again, no one wants to buy above 4,000. They just put in massive shorts. And then as the 50 comes down with the price, the 200 is probably going to be lagging, so it'll be going up as it did with this channel, and you'll get that cross. And then I'll see you at 3,200. We're going to the COVID lows. Again, maybe not. That's just one of my targets. But I do think we're going to the COVID lows for S&P, Dow, and NASDAQ.
Okay, let's move it into Bitcoin.
Absolutely. Hold on one second. Let's just pull up NASDAQ. This one's a dirty bubble. This 50 is going to go below that 200. NASDAQ and tech stocks are absolutely I don't buy any of this pump right now. Again, look how overbought we are on the weekly. It just takes a few bad weeks, and that 50 is going to go right below that 200. And Nasdaq's been pretty strong in this entire run. Why? Off AI, off maybe potential chips that they're producing now that China's open. I don't buy it. I look at the charts. It's telling me that we're probably going to put in a death cross. That's actually closer than the S&P one. So that's one I'm really excited to see how that plays out. And then on the Dow, we see the Dow just got rejected so many times to this 34. We got 1, 2, 3. Maybe we have room for one more rejection at 34, but I think that the 50 is already moving down. 200 is already moving up from this move to the upside. So we could potentially see that crash, that cross at some point. Maybe one more test up here. Again, I'm not being super bearish. I think that there is a possibility that we could retest this level, but that would just be your ultimate confirmation. If you don't break above it and stay above it, that this 50 and this 200 are going to cross, and you're going to see negative price action. Again, that could be leading into that September area, which in 2008 was absolute trash for investors. That just ushered us into the lows of that market, and that could be the start of what happens for us here. But we'll just have to keep an eye on that. Let's go to Bitcoin, because there's a lot of cool stuff going on with Bitcoin right now too. We could see that we were talking about the supply zone. That's really important, because what that tells me is that there's a lot of sellers, very similar to that 4,000 level. There's a lot of sellers right here. They're taking profit right as it hits that upper channel. And we're on the daily right now, and Bitcoin's at 27.82, and we're just coming up. I think I might have to go to the lower time frames to see this. Is a parallel, not really a parallel channel, but we can see that this looks kind of, for lack of a better word, kind of stupid. It just looks like it's like hunching over, and it's probably going to turn at some point. It's not something super sharp or steep, but it just doesn't look like a ton of support. We found support at the 50 moving average. We're going to probably retest it again. But we hit our head once, hit our head twice on the 4-hourly. I think that we're just trading in the zone. We're getting rid of the last bit of liquidity that might be trying to buying the top of this local top, if this is a local top. But again, I think Bitcoin is extremely volatile. Again, we saw 25K to 19K to 28K in a matter of 3 weeks. So this market had tons of liquidity. I don't know if that's because of stable coins. Maybe, exchanges were just swapping out whatever their reserves were for Bitcoin and getting people to buy in. But when I look at Bitcoin, we're just in the supply range. I think we do have to come down to this lower area right here at 25.28. That's just, again, to fill gaps. And you know how we love to fill gaps on this channel. And if it gets filled, obviously you might trade back up to the upper range. But I think that this is where we're going to trade sideways for a period of time. Could it go up to 30,000, 33,000? Yeah, sure. Why not? Anything could happen. Absolutely. But I think that the upside is limited, mainly because we're seeing volumes decrease as the price is increasing. And that, for me, is always going to be bearish divergence. And if we look at the weekly one last time, we're seeing this huge gap on the weekly. So I think that needs to absolutely be filled, which it would be filled if we hit 25.28. But again, we're overbought on the weekly stochastic RSI. Definitely plenty of room to the downside. And if you're super bullish, good for you. I just don't see anything above that supply zone being super lucrative for leverage traders or anything like that.
Yeah, I've seen some people out there on Twitter calling for a blow off top in Bitcoin, saying that it's just kind of consolidating here for the next big leg up. What would be give me the 30-second argument to that?
Well, I can't, because we didn't get a blow off top in the bull run. We saw, sure, you could say that we went really high into October of 2021 because we had hit 50K in February of 2021. But just because I just think that if there was going to be money pulling in, it would have been then during the bull run near the top. That's usually when dumb money enters, and they're like, oh, your cab driver, bus driver, the guy who sells ice cream at the park. That's when everyone's talking about Bitcoin and everything like that, and they're super excited. And I don't see that right now. I think there's actually a good amount of fear. Maybe there's a lot of people who are just sitting quiet because they don't know where the market's going to go. Let people do the talking with their money, or if they're putting in buy orders or whatnot, or if they're putting in leverage shorts, trade longs. I can't justify a blow off top. I can justify a liquidation Like if there was tons of shorts opening up and you could say, okay, they're just going to wipe out shorts and then they're going to do the same thing that people are going long here because they're going to think it's a blow off top. That's one reasonable argument I can make. I can see happening. That could be the move to 30, 33K. I cannot justify a blow off top to like 40K, 50K, or anything like that. That would be absolutely insane right now. But that's just my opinion. I haven't nothing technical behind that, but yeah.
Right now, the we've talked about before, the fear and greed index is at a 61. So there's greed out there. And I think that nothing has changed my perspective that if we look at that number and there's really not a whole lot to back that up on the macro side, then it's probably a fade the public kind of situation for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%. Before obviously interest rates go higher, whatever you have left in your 401k or anything like that, your investments, institutional money, make sure that you get wiped out twice. They'll wipe your ass twice before they throw you down the toilet. So that's the game. But if we're looking at something that's really important right now, that is Bitcoin dominance, because we are on the green again. And yesterday during our show, I did talk about how we were making some moves to the downside. We had a little bit of red. And that's reasonable considering we had 10 days of just green Bitcoin dominance pushing up. But Bitcoin, obviously, holding its strong against other altcoins. It's got 47.63% dominance right now. Today's high was at 47.72. If we look at some of the lower time frames, maybe that can give us a better indication. Yeah, we can see that we're pushing up. So on the 4-hourly, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a retest of this 50-day moving average. Again, that's just mainly to see if we are people are still pouring money into Bitcoin. And again, remember how Bitcoin dominance is calculated. It's the market cap of Bitcoin divided by the top 125 altcoins market caps all combined. And currently Bitcoin has 47%, 47.62% now, the entire market cap of crypto. So obviously it's really strong right now. I think that there is an argument for a push to 50%, maybe a little bit higher. It really depends. I think if it does, it's going to be extremely fast, like the way we saw it go from where were we 10 days ago. I mean, it was at like 42, I think. Yeah, 42.86, and we shot up all the way to the height of 47.84. I think we get to 48%, 49% easy. And if you're at 49%, I mean, people are just going to maybe FOMO in a little bit. Again, the only thing that's really scaring me, though, might be the price of Bitcoin in the supply zone. I still think that Bitcoin dominance is strong enough now to make or break all altcoins or any Bitcoin itself if the price moves up or down either direction. But I would like to see, again, for maximum opportunity in the macro front, I think that getting Bitcoin above 50% is not only a great indicator that we're seeing something that's going to potentially hurt the entire market, because it's just going to be too strong against other alts. People are going to freak out when the prices start going down. But it's also just massive opportunity that it's going to bring for people. Maybe we get some of those lower to, again, we always talked about 40 to 60% for a lot of altcoins. Maybe we get closer to that 60%, maybe a little bit higher, about 70%. Not trying to be a moon boy in reverse. Obviously the price is going down. Let's have free coins, just airdrop
Call you that
wallets.
If it's the reverse, we'll just call you a Hellboy, because that's just kind of where you're at right now, sending the market to hell.
Great, that's a great name. I wonder if
great movie too.
Psycho one's even better. But yeah, it's amazing films. But Ace, what's good? Just saw your message. Happy to have you around.
Let's jump into ETH.
Absolutely. So Bitcoin dominance is going to kill us all. That's all you need to know. We're going to go over to ETH. And yeah, we're talking about a megaphone pattern. I think on the channel I called it a broadening wedge, but I meant megaphone. Not necessarily too different, but critics. Anyways, here we are. And the megaphone pattern, if you don't know what it is a pattern that shows high volatility. So it starts off pretty compressed, and then you start seeing some of these crazy ranges. And you can see where we hit our tops and stuff like that. I mean, I could probably do a better job of this. I could say it starts here, comes here, and then we're just trading in these ranges. And I'm not using the wicks. The wicks could be just the volatility itself. But point is, we're hitting our top, bottom, and it has to at least have 2 hits on the top, 2 hits on the bottom. And obviously, we're in this range right now in the 4-hourly. And you can see it on the daily, even though it's a little bit hard to. There we go. We're having a red day, green day, red day, green day, red day, green day, red day, green day, back and forth. And we see how we're coming down on the stochastic RSI, and it's been overbought for a few days. We can also see that the volumes are coming down. So all of this is just telling me that there's tons of bearish divergence here in the market, especially for ETH. And that might just be because Bitcoin is just so absolutely strong right now that, maybe this is just setting up for a huge dump on ETH. It's very likely. I think that after seeing that pattern yesterday, I think it's very possible. But if we go back to this, I just want to see that we're right now holding the 50 moving average. Could we potentially go up one last time, maybe to liquidate shorts? People would notice this pattern. Yeah, absolutely. We probably go to 18.5. But I also think that it's very likely that we can go sub 17 to like 16.9 or 16.99. We're going to trade in this pattern, but you only get these usually at the top or the bottom of a market move. So either we're at the bottom of the entire bear market right now, or we're at the top of this local pump to the upside that we've seen since January. It's one or the other. I know where I'm putting my money. Actually, I'm not. I'm risk off, but if I had to put my money on what it is, I think you all know where I stand on this one. But yeah, that's what megaphone patterns are, and that's what I'm seeing right now with ETH. And it's definitely volatile out there. We're probably going to see some pretty good price action over the next week or so.
Yeah, these relief rallies, they can last a while, 3
Yeah.
months, 4 months, and we're coming up at right around 3 months since ETH pumped. It was down at, just under 1,200, and we took that huge run up. We've been kind of trading sideways for a little bit, another big run up. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if this was coming to the end of a relief rally. If we see that pullback, if we get ETH back down to, the $1,400 range. And honestly, if there is stability in banking, that it was 2 weeks ago that we found out about SVB. And at that time, ETH was trading at $1,400. And the fear of having your money in the banks is what helped drive this pump in crypto.
Yep.
If we find out that, everything has stabilized, that could lead us right back in the other direction. So there's as we said at the top of the show, there are a lot more bearish catalysts for crypto than there are bullish ones.
100%. And I think you just made a great point. And obviously we talked about this after the USDC collapse when it went down to like 83% or 83 cents. On Binance, it went down to like 35 cents. So definitely a fun time there. But yeah, we saw tons of people who were just like, okay, I don't want to be in stables. I don't want to be in banks. I'm just going to put my money in assets I believe in. So probably people who were obviously super bullish on crypto, Bitcoin, people who are more like NFT, maybe a little bit more well-versed in crypto, or just wanted to have a safer bet in case Bitcoin for some reason goes down. Maybe ETH, they had potentially, they could buy a little bit more ETH than they could buy Bitcoin if you're talking like based on coins number that you're accumulating. But that, again, just backs my reasoning for why I think that the collapse of SIVB, USDC price going down, that just built so much liquidity in the crypto markets itself. It just added so much money into markets that people maybe sitting on the sidelines weren't going to act on. But again, fear drives the market sometimes, and that's unfortunate. And again, that just proves also dumb money. They don't sit back and just take it all in and see, okay, what's the smart move here? It's more irrational thinking, irrational actions. I totally understand because you don't want the banks to collapse, but it just added so much liquidity to the market. And I think that's why we saw some volatility. That's why potentially this could be the end of this move to the upside. So it's just going to be something that we have to keep an eye on. And I also think that the fact that a lot of banks that, were banking crypto exchanges, the fact that it's harder to transact with them now. Like I was talking about Binance.us, they had some money in SIVB, but they pulled it out like 400 billion or 400 million from, I think it's 400 million that they pulled out of that bank like 2 weeks before it collapsed. So there's a lot of banks that aren't banking crypto. So it's hard to get money on the exchanges. It's also hard to get money off of them. So the very few that there are, I don't know if retail is going to be, if there's enough opportunity for them to get into the market to keep the price up.
All right. To wrap it up today, we didn't get to talk about this yesterday because my internet was shit. Can you pull up the Arbitrum chart and we can take a look at that? I haven't really made any moves there. I'm still sitting on my initial tokens. We've I pulled up some Dune analytics data. We are now at 81.35% claimed on the ARB airdrop. So a strong number claimed in just over 24 hours.
So
less than 20% left. Yeah. So I guess let's look at that chart and let's kind of start our trading. Do you think that there's still room to the upside? Should I continue to hold here and wait for a better spot to exit?
So what we can see is that the volumes are down. This is so hard on the 30-minute chart. I feel like an absolute crackhead looking at these numbers that fast.
Go to the
time.
5-minute chart.
All right, math, I guess. All right,
Yeah.
go. So yeah, on the 5, we see that the price is just coming down. I think people are just taking profits on this one. Look how overbought it is on the stochastic RSI on the 5-minute chart, and how low the price is compared to this. We got our death cross already on the 5-minute chart. 50 went below the 200, so that's great to know. But
let's go to the 1-minute chart.
1-minute chart. Let's see. Yeah, 1-minute chart. Oh no, maybe we'll get our golden cross on the 1-minute chart. Here comes the 50.
Oh baby,
200. Watch out. You know what we might have to do? We might have to scalp this stuff, just like every 5 minutes. We got to make a trade. We got to make a trade. But yeah, that's pretty much what I'm saying. Again,
get your Adderall out. We're gonna be trading Arbitrum on the 1-minute chart all weekend long. Okay.
Wait, is that what I think it is? Is that what I think it is? Uh-oh. Just kidding. I don't think that's a parallel channel now. But that's the type of stuff you have to do when it's, it's 1-minute chart. Insane. Obviously, I would like for us to take some time and let the market play out for a few days, because, again, it's not the matter of the price. It's how many times you trade it correctly. So if it takes us 200 times to get to $1 million, awesome. If it takes us, obviously, if we got out at 11.6, that would have been great.
Well, no one got out at 11.6. No one could even claim at that point.
Somebody did. That's
somebody
why the price
did.
went straight down.
Good for them.
Yeah. But when I'm looking at this, I think it's going down. I'm not gonna. It's sad, but especially if you look at the daily chart. Gosh,
it's a hell of a chart.
Yeah, I think we're just gonna have to let this play out for a few days. If
all right,
I'm totally honest,
we'll touch base on it next week.
Definitely.
We'll see, how it goes this weekend. I've heard, and this is an interesting experiment with a new token, especially one where you're claiming it, and we have, we'll see as more people claim and they take their profit. Are there those who believe in this token long term? They're just kind of waiting on the sidelines and then are ready to buy it up. Ace coming in with some advice. Create your own LP. I have no idea how to do that, and I don't know, Kevin, if you know how to do that on Uniswap, but that is beyond my comprehension.
That might be a little bit too DeFi for me. Again, a lot of these smaller tokens, I just don't go super in depth with, because I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get in way too late. I'm gonna buy the top. I'm gonna get destroyed. That's what people got like buy. That's a really good deal. 5 to 8. We should have done that. Ace.
And you talk us through how to do that.
Exactly. You're gonna have to teach us how to set it up for the next airdrop. But I think a lot of people are actually bullish on Arbitrum. I was doing a little bit of research. It's probably going to be a coin that's going to stick around for the bull run. Might be a favorite amongst a lot of people. There's a couple of other ones too. I know I'm not the biggest fan, but BitBoy Crypto was talking about how great Arbitrum is. So maybe that's not a great indicator. But it's something we'll have to just see. Again, I think time will tell what the price action might be in the charts. I just want to see where the price stays over a few days. It's not real hard. I can help you all. Maybe, yeah.
As we come to the weekly close, we got 26 minutes left until the Dow, S&P, NASDAQ, all that good stuff close. We're seeing some move to the upside. Not sure if this is just people, shutting down their shorts for the week and, calling it a day, or what that may be. But we are seeing a little bit of green, some upward movement to end the week.
Yeah, it looks like they're not going to sell off the rally as of right now. Who knows? Maybe the rally gets sold off on Monday. We'll have to see. But yeah, that's all I got today. Yeah.
All right. I think that's where we're going to wrap it then. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Ace, Mr. House, appreciate you as always. Once again, if you have not yet, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel. If you enjoy our content, we appreciate all the kind words, sharing it out to anyone you know who may be interested. We'll be back on Monday. Kevin, any final thoughts for the people as we head into the weekend?
Enjoy your weekend. Just be patient. You know where the market's going, but yeah, just have some good time with your family. Get a good workout in, and then take a good, nice cold shower. I don't know. No more meth. No more crack.
Spring is here. Get outside, enjoy it. The markets will be, the money never sleeps, right? But you need to get some rest, and we'll be back on Monday. Take care, everybody. Have an awesome weekend.
Take care, everyone.